In this video, I will explain how to rename activity IDs. So let's say that this is all general activity ID. A1000 just doesn't represent the activity. It's a good practice that you change the activity ID to something that means the scope for you. So let's say that for each activity under substructure, the first two initials will be CN, short for construction, SB, short for substructure, then 100 for the first activity, and it will be increased by 10 for each activity. To do that, you select all activities, right click, renumber activity IDs. You go to auto number, and this is a prefix. So the prefix is the group of letters which will be fixed with you all the time at the beginning. So for me, in my case, I want to include CN for construction, SB for substructure. So this prefix is a characters which will be shown for each activity at the beginning. Suffix is for the first activity, what is the value that will come after the CNSB. So I choose 100. And for each subsequent activity, I want to increase the activity ID by 10. Click OK, and now it's renamed. So the first activity now is 100, and it will be increased by 10. Let's do the superstructure. So I want CN for construction. I will make it CP for superstructure. And also I will increase F1 or make it 1F, so it will not be confused with the suffix. 1F for first floor. By the way, it's a good practice that you keep the activity ID characters limit from 6 to 10 maximum. So if I choose here 7 characters, most of the program should be 7 characters. It depends on your decision or your protocol for developing the activity ID. I'm just giving here an example. So maybe it goes beyond the 7 characters, but make it all consistent. So now this is a prefix. It's the fixed characters which will take place at the beginning of the activity ID, followed by the 100, which is the suffix for the first activity. Then it will be increased by 10. Click OK, and now here you go. So what if I do not want to make so many changes here in the activity ID? I just want to make the activity ID starts with CN construction, and that's it. For example, so you go to rename activity ID, replace beginning characters. So I want the first 2 characters. This is so it will count here the number of characters from the beginning. So number of characters, the first 2 characters in the activity ID. Click to replace with CN. I want CN, and everything else is the same. So you choose the third option here. Click OK. Now it's CN. So what if this is the existing activity ID right now, and I want to change the numbers here? So rename activity ID, and I want the increment value to be increased by 50, not 10. Yeah, now it's duplicated after we did that, so it will be duplicated. So it will ask you to make a new activity ID because you cannot keep the 2 activities with the same activity ID. So after I did the renaming, so one of the activities had already matched activity ID. So it will ask you for a new activity ID before you proceed further. So let's say I want to make it CN 1, maybe 200. It is not also unique. So CN 240. Okay. So this is for the renaming activity ID. In the next lecture, we will talk about user preferences.